Hello, I'm Ross Roberts, Ford Motor Company Vice President and General Manager of the Lincoln Mercury Division. On behalf of everyone at Lincoln Mercury, I'd like to thank you for purchasing a new 1989 Lincoln Continental. We've developed this tape as an introduction to your new Continental because we want to ensure your satisfaction by helping you enjoy all it has to offer. We're convinced that you've just purchased one of the most sophisticated luxury cars on the road today. Your new Continental uses advanced technology to its fullest potential. Its performance is equal to any touring sedan, and the luxury, it's what you'd expect from Lincoln Continental. For your convenience on this tape, we've categorized the information by new technology, standard operating instructions, optional equipment, our warranty, and our service procedures. Incidentally, under new technology, there's a special section on the Continental's 2 airbags, a domestic luxury car first. Before you hear all the details, I'd like to discuss one very important subject with you. It's our number one objective. I'm speaking of total customer satisfaction and our quality commitment to you. This commitment extends beyond the manufacturing process. It reaches into the quality of service, the care, and the considerations that you received at your dealership. To support this effort, you'll be receiving the Lincoln Commitment Package in about 30 days. The package includes a benefit brochure and a Lincoln Commitment ID card with a toll-free hotline number. If you have any problems, we want to know about it. In fact, included with the commitment package is a survey on your buying experience. We'll be sending you other surveys periodically throughout your ownership to find out how you feel about your car, your dealer, and us. I hope you'll take the time to answer our questions, just as I encourage you to listen to this entire tape. I think you'll find it helpful in gaining the full pleasure of driving your new Lincoln Continental. Simply stated, we truly believe that Lincoln is what a luxury car should be. Thank you.
Before we begin, I would like to call your attention to the label on the audio cassette container. You will notice several topics on the label. A brief pause between each topic makes it possible to scan the tape for a specific topic. To do this, follow the instructions on the label.
Let's start with an important new feature on the Lincoln Continental, the Supplemental Airbag Restraint System, or SRS. The Lincoln Continental is the first American-made car to offer supplemental airbags as standard equipment for the driver and right front seat passenger. The initials SRS are molded into the airbag covers on the steering wheel and the instrument panel above the glove box.
It's important to remember that airbags supplement the protection of safety belts and are not intended to replace safety belts. They are designed to help protect you from serious head and chest injuries in moderate to severe front-end collisions. It's these type of collisions where many serious injuries occur. Supplemental airbags only offer protection when you're moving forward. In fact, they are not designed to be activated in side, rear, or rollover accidents. This is why it's important for all occupants to wear safety belts at all times. Safety belts offer important protection to the driver and right front seat passenger during front-end collisions. This is especially important for children and small adults. First, safety belts keep the driver and right front seat passenger in the proper position to benefit from airbags when they are activated. Second, the safety belts keep them from being moved around inside the car when the bags deflate. And only safety belts will help rear seat passengers or someone sitting in the middle of the front seat. Special precautions should be taken with children in infant seats. If a forward-facing child seat is placed in the right front passenger seat, move the seat all the way back. Rear-facing infant seats should only be placed in the rear seat. Your owner's guide has more information on this.
Many people are concerned supplemental airbags will go off accidentally when they hit a pothole or are involved in a minor parking lot collision. This does not happen. Extensive testing and field experience have proven the supplemental airbag system to be safe and reliable. There are 5 crash sensors that determine if you are in an accident and protect against the accidental inflation of the supplemental airbags. 2 of these sensors must be closed simultaneously before the system is activated. The sensors are located in the fenders and the back wall of the engine compartment. It takes significant vehicle impact to cause the sensors to close. A frontal collision with a fixed barrier at speeds greater than 14 miles per hour will inflate the airbags. In a front-end collision with a car of comparable size, the airbags would be activated at a speed of about 28 miles per hour. The supplemental airbags are designed to inflate within 45 milliseconds once the sensors close. They fill with nitrogen, a gas that makes up about 80% of the air we breathe. The bags deflate immediately after a collision. The supplemental airbags are meant for one use only, which is one more reason you should wear a safety belt. In the event of a multiple collision accident, the airbags will not inflate again upon a second impact. Once they have been used, they must be removed and replaced. Some people wonder about wearing glasses, smoking, and the noise when supplemental airbags are inflated. Our tests and field experience show an object like a cigarette is knocked harmlessly from your mouth. Glasses may or may not stay on, just like in any other collision. And many drivers report never hearing the airbags go off due to the sound of the crash. Finally, I'd like to point out that you should not open the airbag covers in the steering wheel and the instrument panel. Besides possible cosmetic damage, you may have to replace the supplemental airbag. Now let's move on and take a look at some of the other sophisticated technology used in the 1989 Lincoln Continental. Your new Lincoln Continental is sleek, aerodynamic, and quiet. Its smooth sides and flush windows offer low resistance to the wind. The low hood, front air dam, and high rear deck are purposely designed to offer the best profile to cut wind resistance and reduce turbulence during acceleration, maneuvers, and deceleration. One measure of this is drag coefficient, and its number is low, 0.34 to be exact. The front halogen headlamps and bright Lincoln grille are designed for less drag. All these contribute to luxury, feel, quietness, and fuel economy. The lower body panels are treated with a protective coating to reduce road and stone abrasions, while wheel lip and body side moldings reduce the dings and dents of those careless parking lot neighbors. The 5-mile-per-hour bumpers wrap around to become integral body members, as do the wrap-around full-width tail lamps.
Mechanically, your new Continental is very sophisticated. It not only features 4-wheel disc brakes, but also an anti-lock brake system. This means that sensors and computers automatically pump your brakes in emergency stopping situations to prevent brake lockup. Generally, stops on wet or slippery roads are significantly shorter than with conventional brakes, and you're able to maintain positive steering control. The ride you receive in your new Continental is exceptional because the 4-wheel independent suspension is computer-controlled with air springs and dual damping shock absorbers at each wheel. This gives you a smooth, level ride that automatically adjusts the vehicle's attitude to accommodate all types of road conditions, speeds, and maneuvers.
When you get behind the wheel and drive your Continental, you'll experience another Lincoln refinement: speed-sensitive, variable effort rack and pinion steering. This varies the steering effort. It gives you a firmer, more secure feeling at higher speeds and retains low efforts for parking or slower speeds. And you'll experience the responsiveness and performance of an improved 3.8-liter V6 140 horsepower engine. It uses computer-controlled sequential multi-port fuel injection and roller tappets to give you quick response. It teams up with a smooth, efficient 4-speed automatic overdrive transaxle for excellent all-around fuel efficiency and drivability in the city or on the open road.
When you first get in your new Continental, the enhanced illumination system turns on the interior lamps and lights up the electronic instrument cluster when either front door handle is pulled. This system will also automatically turn off after a 25 to 35 second delay. Sun glare control is managed with tinted glass all around and front and side sun visor extensions along with a center visor for full coverage. A sun load sensor automatically regulates the climate control. Roof rail assist handles for front and rear passengers also feature dual rear reading lamps as part of the rear assist handle assemblies. The lamps are dual intensity and in normal position act as courtesy lights. For reading, slide the light cover over to provide full intensity lighting without the glare reaching the driver's eyes.
Looking at the instrument panel, there's a multifunction oil pressure, coolant temperature, battery gauge, and a fuel gauge that indicates fuel level in both digital and analog functions. There's also low oil and washer fluid alerts. Instrument panel lights will notify you when your new Continental needs service and when there's a problem in engine or instrumentation operating systems. The onboard system diagnostics feature records the problem and reports it via a data communications link to your dealer's service computer when you take it in for service. The standard easy-to-use message display indicates trip distance, average and instant fuel economy, distance to empty, and a complete system checkout using 3 simplified controls. An electronic clock is mounted in the center, lower portion of the instrument panel. Above it are the standard automatic climate control and radio cassette player. If your car is equipped with the optional compact disc player, it will replace the clock in this area. A clock will share the display in the radio.
Another option is the memory driver's seat and memory recliner. This feature automatically readjusts to the driver's set position when the ignition is turned on and the position number is pressed. The power lumbar support, included with the memory seat, permits you to adjust the seat to relieve lower back strain when driving for long periods of time. Another option is the InstaClear heated windshield for cold weather climates. When activated, it defrosts up to 1/10 of an inch of ice on the windshield in about 2 or 3 minutes, versus about 15 minutes using a conventional defroster. Of course, there are many more traditional Lincoln Continental options. We'll explain more about these options later.
Now that you're a new Lincoln Continental owner, you owe it to yourself to learn how to get the most pleasure from this advanced product of the technology age. To avoid distractions, it would be wise to play this portion of the cassette tape when the car is parked or at home. We begin with standard operating instructions. These continue on side 2, followed by optional equipment, warranties, and service. Much of this material is taken from your owner's manual, which you should have handy when listening to this cassette. Let's start with the controls and indicators on the instrument panel.
First, you have 4 air registers across the panel. These swivel and have movable louvers to direct the air where you want. All have a positive shutoff feature alongside the register. These can be used to stop the air from individual registers. This directs more air to those left open for individual comfort of driver and passenger.
Between the driver's registers is the electronic instrument cluster. There are 3 cluster control buttons on the left of the cluster. The top button, Gauge Select, controls the multi-gauge to the immediate right of the buttons. This gauge displays engine coolant temperature, battery voltage, or oil pressure each time the button is pushed. You'll note, too, that a tone is sounded each time this control is activated. The battery voltage gauge is indicated by a battery symbol. If the alternator is not charging the battery, or if the voltage is above or below the normal range, the battery symbol will flash, and a tone sounds to alert you of a non-normal condition. You might note that when the ignition is in the accessory position, this gauge is always displayed to indicate a discharge condition.
The oil pressure gauge is identified by an oil can symbol. If the pressure drops below the normal range, the oil can symbol flashes and a tone sounds to alert you that oil pressure is low. You should stop the engine as soon as possible and check the oil level. Add oil as indicated. never drive with low oil pressure, as severe engine damage can result. The engine temperature gauge is identified by a thermometer symbol. The bars fill up to the normal position as the engine warms. If the bars fill to exceed the top of the normal range, the thermometer symbol flashes and a tone sounds to alert you that the coolant is overheating. You should stop the engine as soon as safely possible. Then, after a cool-down period, check the coolant level according to instructions in the Servicing Your Vehicle section of your owner's manual.
When just the top two bars and bottom two bars of a gauge are displayed, this is a service alert. This tells you that you should contact your dealer as soon as possible for service. You should note that when any problem exists in any of the battery charging, oil pressure, or temperature systems, the multi-gauge will automatically change to service alert in the system affected.
The fuel gauge offers both a bar graph and digital display. These indicate the approximate amount of fuel left in the tank. For fuel levels greater than 17 U.S. gallons or 66 liters, the letter F is displayed digitally to denote a full condition. For fuel levels less than 1 U.S. gallon or 3 liters, the letter E is displayed to denote empty. You should note that the fuel tank capacity on your new Continental is 18.6 U.S. gallons.
Directly under the Gauge Select button is an English metric button. When pressed, this displays English measures like miles, gallons, or miles per gallon, or alternative metric measures like kilometers, liters, or liters per 100 kilometers. This button also controls whether the electronic automatic climate control displays in Fahrenheit or centigrade degrees. Again, a tone sounds each time the button is activated.
The speed alarm button is at the bottom of the cluster control switches. This activates or deactivates the speed alarm. To engage this feature, press the button when your car has reached 5 miles per hour below the speed at which you wish to be alerted. A speed indicator at the right of the speedometer lights when this feature is engaged. The speed alarm will sound with 3 short tones every 12 seconds, and the word speed flashes every time the vehicle exceeds the set alarm speed by 5 miles per hour or 5 kilometers per hour. The tone and flashing ceases when the vehicle decelerates below the alarm speed. If the speed alarm is left on when the ignition is turned off, it will automatically re-engage at the previously set alarm speed. To deactivate the speed alarm, press the button a second time.
The speedometer is located in the center of the electronic instrument cluster. This indicates the vehicle speed in miles per hour or kilometers per hour, depending on which is selected by the English metric button in the cluster control. When the ignition is turned on, all cluster segments light momentarily and then turn off for a second before relighting. This is a prove-out to indicate the segments are operating properly. The speedometer allows a maximum indication of 85 miles per hour or 199 kilometers per hour. The odometer below the speed display indicates the total miles your Continental has been driven. The odometer values can also be displayed in either English or metric measures by pressing the English metric button. If the odometer displays the word error in place of total miles, you should contact your dealer for service. Note that a circle S is displayed near the odometer if the odometer has been replaced. A detailed diagram of the instrument cluster and message center is included in the Instrumentation section of your owner's manual.
The message center is located on the right in the electronic instrument cluster. This provides information on 4 trip features and 8 checkout items. Directly under the message center, the 4 trip features are indicated by boxes that light when that particular feature is displayed. These include instantaneous fuel economy, average fuel economy, distance to empty, and trip distance.
There are 3 message center control buttons located to the right of the message center on the immediate right of the electronic instrument cluster. The select button controls the trip feature to be displayed. This button can also stop the checkout sequence once it has been activated.
The reset button is pressed when you want to have the computer reset the calculations for average fuel economy or trip distance, as you might at the beginning of a trip. These features may be reset individually by first selecting the feature and then pressing the reset button. Instantaneous fuel economy and distance to empty are not resettable.
The checkout button controls a sequence of 8 vehicle functions. Additional presses of this button speeds the display of items. The functions include oil level, door ajar, trunk ajar, charging system, ride control, and washer fluid. 2 other messages can be displayed. One reads, check DCL. The other reads, check engine. If either of these repeatedly occurs, you should visit your dealer for service soon. Details that explain the meaning of message center alerts are included in your owner's manual instrumentation section. The electronic digital clock is located at the lower center of the instrument panel below the electronic automatic climate control. 3 small buttons labeled Mode, Reset, and Set are located next to the clock display. To set the time, press the Mode button until the colon between hours and minutes stops flashing. One press of the Reset button will display the hour alone. To set the hour, press the Set button until the desired hour of the day is displayed. Then press the Reset and the minutes alone will be displayed. Press the Set button until the desired minutes are displayed. Press the Reset once more and the display time has been set. To set the date, just press the Mode button until the display is in the month and date mode. You'll recognize this because there is no colon displayed. Then set the month and date the same way you set the hours and minutes of time. To set elapsed time, again press the Mode button until you see the flashing colon. Then press Reset to clear elapsed time to 0. You can press Set to interrupt elapsed time in progress. Press Set again to resume elapsed time.
The left-hand switch on the horizontal panel above the clock is for the motorized antenna. This is covered in the Audio System Operating Guide portion of your owner's portfolio. The next switch controls the electric rear window defroster. You should start the engine before activating this control. If you put the ignition in the accessory position and start the defroster, it will shut off when the engine is started. When you press the rear window defroster switch, both the rear window defroster and the heated outside rear view mirrors are activated, and a light located in the center of the switch glows. The defroster timer automatically turns off the defroster after 10 minutes. The system can also be turned off manually by pressing the control again.
Next to these switches, you'll notice 2 alert lights. These are for the anti-lock brake system and the airbags. The anti-lock alert light comes on for up to 60 seconds when the ignition is turned on. During this time, the control module runs a test cycle to make sure the system is operating. This light will also alert you if service to the system is needed. The readiness light for the supplemental airbag system comes on for 6 seconds when the ignition is turned on to indicate the system is operating properly. An electronic monitor in the system constantly checks the airbags, wiring connectors, and sensors to be certain the system is operational. If service is required, the light will fail to come on, stay on continuously, flash, or a tone will sound. When you notice any of these signals, you should take your car as soon as possible for service at an authorized Lincoln Mercury dealer.
Directly above the rearview mirror are map lights located on each side of the overhead console. To activate these, press the switch above each lamp. You can turn them off with the same procedure. The main light controls are located to the left of the steering column under the left-hand register. The headlamp, parking lamp, and side markers main control is a rotary switch at the left of this cluster of controls. Turning the rotary switch to the first position in a clockwise motion turns on parking lamps, side marker lamps, and tail lamps. The headlamps are illuminated by turning the control to the second position. Instrument panel lights may be dimmed or brightened using a thumb wheel control to the immediate right of the headlamp control switch. Turning this thumb wheel fully upward also turns on the interior lamps. The auto lamp system that's standard on the Signature Series and optional on the Standard Series Continental allows you to set the headlamps to automatically turn on during darkness and turn off during daylight hours. It will also keep your headlamps on up to 4 minutes after leaving the vehicle with the ignition off. And with the auto dim engaged, the system will automatically change your headlamps between high beam and low beam depending upon oncoming traffic.
To set the on-off and delay functions of your headlamps, make sure your headlamp switch is off and your ignition switch is on. Then roll the thumb wheel on the far right labeled Auto Lamp from off position toward delay. The further you turn the wheel to the max position, the longer the lamps will remain on after you've left the vehicle. The automatic on-off function is controlled by a photocell. To turn off, simply reverse the process and roll the lever back to the off position. You can override the automatic on-off headlamp operation manually by simply turning your headlamp switch to the on position. When you do this, an alert tone will sound if you've left your headlamps on after turning off the ignition.
The auto dim system automatically keeps your headlamps on low beam while in traffic or lighted areas at night. It automatically switches to high beam when driving conditions permit. To set the automatic dimmer, first turn your headlamps on. Then move the thumb wheel switch labeled Auto Dim from off all the way to max. An indicator light next to this thumb wheel should now be on. If it isn't, use the dimmer turn signal stalk control on the steering column by pushing it away from you until it clicks into the high beam position. The indicator light should now be lit. For normal driving conditions, set the auto dim thumb wheel at the midpoint. The closer you move it to max, the earlier the bright lights will dim. To flash to pass, for signaling oncoming traffic, pull the dimmer turn signal lever on the steering column toward you. The high beams stay on as long as this lever is back, even when your headlamps are off. The automatic dimmer function can be turned off by returning the auto dim thumb wheel to the off position or by pulling back on the dimmer turn signal lever and locking in the low beams.
The hazard warning switch is located on top of the steering column behind the steering wheel. To activate the flashers, simply push the switch button down. To turn them off, push the switch down again. Flashers can be used with the ignition switch in any position. They can operate for 2 hours when the battery is fully charged without significantly discharging the battery. Operating instructions for all your lights can be found under the Instrumentation section in the owner's manual.
The steering column controls include a multifunction lever, a tilt steering wheel control lever, and a transmission shift lever. The multifunction lever, we already know, controls high beam, low beam, and flash to pass functions. We covered this in our auto dim headlamp discussion. You might note that when headlamps are on high beam or the flash to pass is used, a headlamp symbol located under the multi-gauge on the instrument cluster lights. The windshield wiper and washer controls are located on the multifunction lever. You must have the ignition on or in the accessory position to operate the wipers. To operate the low and high wiper speeds, rotate the knob on the end of the multifunction lever toward the front of the car. For the variable pause interval wiper action, rotate the knob toward the rear of the car. In this position, the wipers will wipe once and then pause for a selected time before wiping again. The length of the pause is variable, with the position nearest the off position the minimum delay between wipes. The washers are operated by pushing the end of the knob in. By holding the button in, the washers provide a constant spray. On release of the washer button, the wipers will operate for 1 to 3 cycles before returning to their prior operating function. The tilt steering control is located behind the multifunction lever. To position the angle of the steering wheel for maximum comfort, simply pull the tilt lever toward you and move the wheel up or down. Release the lever when the desired wheel position is reached. This should only be done while the car is stationary for maximum safety.
The electronic automatic climate control system automatically maintains the temperature selected and regulates airflow between the instrument panel registers, floor ducts, windshield defroster, and the side window demisters. The controls for this system are located in the top center of the instrument panel. By pressing the off button on the right of the digital display, you turn the entire system off. Pressing the automatic button located under the off control will turn the system on in a fully automatic condition. Auto is displayed to indicate the system is functioning to maintain the preset temperature indicated on the digital display. The blue cooler button and the red warmer button, located to the left of the display, control the temperature settings upward or downward. The outside temperature button, when depressed, will display the outside temperature for 4 seconds before returning to the previous display. The outside temperature can be displayed anytime the ignition is on, whether or not the climate control system is functioning.
The electronic automatic climate control system also features override controls that can direct operation for more individual needs. Depressing the max AC control will direct the system to go to a high blower speed with a maximum cool discharge temperature while in a recirculation mode. The display will read 60 max AC. When max AC is overridden, the system will revert to the previously set temperature. Pressing the vent button will direct the system to operate in an economy mode, blowing fresh air, and will disengage the air conditioner pump. The display will read vent. When the PNL FLR button is pressed, the air is distributed between the panel registers, floor ducts, and side window demisters. When this happens, the display reads panel floor. Depressing the floor button directs the air to the floor ducts and side window demisters, with a small amount being metered out to the upper defrosters. The display in this event will read floor. When the button marked FLR DEF is pressed, the air will be distributed between the floor ducts, the defroster, and the side window demisters. The display will read floor, and the defrost symbol will be illuminated. Depressing the defrost symbol button will distribute the air primarily to the defroster and the side window demisters. The defrost symbol will be displayed. The thumb wheel control at the far right of this control is the blower speed override. By rotating this knob 10 degrees, the fan blower indicator comes on and manual control of the blower speed occurs. By rotating the thumb wheel all the way to the bottom stop, the blower speed is reduced to its lowest setting. By rotating the control all the way to the top, the blower speed is increased to its highest setting. By pressing the automatic button, the system will revert to automatic control and the fan blower indicator will turn off. There's a great deal more concerning how this system operates in your owner's manual.
This completes Side 1 of your 1989 Lincoln Continental Operating Guide. Please turn this cassette over for more valuable information on your new Continental. In continuing our consideration of the normal standard equipment operating procedures on your new Lincoln Continental, some of them seem to be simple and self-explanatory. However, your Lincoln Continental is a very sophisticated vehicle. We want to be sure that you are aware of all its remarkable features, big and small.
The 6-way power seat controls for the driver and passenger are located on each front door trim panel. The power passenger seat is optional on the base Continental and standard on the Signature series. The control is shaped like a seat with separate seat cushion and seat back. The arrows on the switch indicate the direction of seat movement. To adjust the seat, simply move the power seat switch in the desired direction. The driver's seat comes equipped with a power seat back recliner. The standard passenger seat is equipped with an infinitely adjustable manual recliner. The passenger recliner control knob is located at the lower rear outboard junction of the seat back and seat cushion. A passenger power recliner is included with the power passenger seat option.
The outside rearview mirrors are electrically controlled by a switch control located in the driver's door armrest. To adjust the mirrors, first select the appropriate mirror by moving the selector switch to the left or right. Then adjust the mirror by pressing the appropriate side of the square, identified by an arrow indicating the direction of adjustment. The power window controls are forward of the mirror control. 4 rocker-type controls open or close all windows. A window lock control locks out the individual controls on the other 3 doors. The power door lock switch is located at the rear of the armrest. In addition, your new Continental is equipped with child-proof rear door locks. To learn how these function, refer to the Getting to Know Your Vehicle section of your owner's manual.
Inside your glove compartment are 2 less frequently used controls. The first is the yellow remote control deck lid release. By pressing this switch when your ignition is on or turned to accessory, you may open your trunk by remote control. The orange remote control fuel filler door release is also located here. It operates whether the ignition is on or not. Since the fuel door cannot be opened from outside the vehicle, it must be released by this control. In the event of a malfunction of this control, a manual release is located inside the trunk on the right.
Below the climate control center is the audio system. This unit features both AM stereo and FM stereo, plus a cassette player and 6-speaker high-level sound system. The major controls are self-explanatory. The 6 push buttons below the digital display can be set to store 18 stations, 6 AM and 12 FM. To set these, select the desired station. Then press and hold the desired button for 2 seconds. The sound will go off. When it returns, the memory for that station is set. This same button can carry additional program stations for another band for a total of 3, AM, FM1, and FM2. When playing cassette tapes, the state-of-the-art player unit automatically compensates for metal, chromium dioxide, or standard tape equalization. The optional Ford JBL audio system essentially functions the same way, but with greatly enhanced sound reproduction with 140 watts of total system power capabilities. The Ford compact disc player option is covered in another portion of this tape.
The speed control switches, located at both sides of the steering wheel airbag module, allow you to automatically control the speed of your new Continental. To set the speed, momentarily press the on control on the left of the steering wheel center bar. Then accelerate until you reach your desired cruising speed. Press the Set Excel button on the right of the center bar for just a moment. Then take your foot from the accelerator pedal. If you hold the set button too long, you will continue to accelerate. To reduce the set speed, press and hold the coast button. also located at the right side of the steering bar. When the car has slowed to the desired new speed, release the button. You can cancel the automatic speed control by either pressing the brake pedal or turning the system off using the off button. If the system is shut off by using the brake pedal, you can return the car to the previous speed by pressing the resume button for at least a second or until you feel a response. The speed control and resume function will only work when the vehicle is traveling about 30 miles per hour or more.
The parking brake is activated by foot pressure on the extreme left-hand pedal suspended above the floor of your new Continental. When this is engaged, an alert light that reads "Brakes" appears in the instrument cluster below the multifunction gauge. The parking brake will automatically disengage when the transaxle is shifted into any forward gear. It can also be disengaged by pulling on the parking brake release lever located at the extreme lower left of the instrument panel. You should always check the brake alert light each time you start the engine. It will continue to glow if your parking brake is not fully released. There are more details concerning this procedure in the Before Driving Your Vehicle section of your owner's manual. This covers the most important standard operating features of your 1989 Lincoln Continental. Perhaps it's now time to consider some of the optional features. There are a number of available options for your new Continental. Some of these are included at no extra charge on the Signature Series.
There is a programmable memory seat system with a power lumbar support feature and a memory recliner. This system enables the driver to store and recall settings for 3 separate seat positions plus recline. The control located on the driver's door panel has 3 buttons marked Set, 1, and 2. The third position is recalled by pressing 1 and 2 together. The driver should position the seat first. When the Set control is pressed, a lamp glows in the control. This means the system's memory is ready for input. You must press 1, 2, or both 1 and 2 together within 5 seconds. To prevent accidental operation while the car is moving, the system is designed to work only when the transmission is in the park or neutral position. Operating any of the seat controls overrides the memory recall function and stops automatic positioning until reactivated by pushing either 1, 2, or both together. The power lumbar is controlled by buttons located on the outboard side of the seat cushion.
The automatic dimming inside rearview mirror, which is part of the overhead console group, is sensitive to bright lights approaching from behind you at night. It will change from a clear reflective surface to one of 2 darker non-glare positions automatically. The mirror has 3 adjustments: off, low, and high. To activate it, slide the switch to the high setting and start your car. If you find the high setting too sensitive, slide the switch to the low setting. The mirror automatically selects the best reflective surface for your individual comfort. Take note that the mirror automatically reverts to the normal glare position when you place the car in reverse. This provides a clear view in the mirror when backing up.
The optional InstaClear heated windshield control is located under the headlamp system controls to the left of the steering column. As we commented earlier, the system is designed to clear ice and frost on the outer windshield surface more quickly than the standard defroster system. You should start the engine before activating this control. The engine speed is automatically increased during this cycle with the gear shift in park or neutral positions. Depress the switch and an on indicator light tells you the system is working. The system automatically turns itself off after 4 minutes. It can also be turned off manually by depressing the control button.
The compact disc player takes advantage of the newest high-tech digital recording developments in the industry. It's a perfect match for the 140-watt, 10-speaker Ford JBL audio system. The player is automatically powered when the JBL audio system is turned on. Load a compact disc by slipping it through the slot at the top of the unit. Within a few seconds, the disc will begin playing the first selection. An eject button at the top right of the disc opening removes the disc. You can pause or resume playing the player by pressing the play-stop control. The digital display shows both the track number and the play time. To the right of the display is a button labeled Comp. This activates audio compression circuitry, which boosts low-level audio signals. This can be useful on some classical CDs to help overcome outside noise. There are more details concerning this exceptional entertainment option contained in the Audio Systems Guide located in your owner's portfolio.
The keyless entry system is designed to allow convenient locking and unlocking of your Continental's doors and deck lid without using a key. On your warranty card or owner's code card is a 5-digit number. Punch this code into the switch group located on the outside of the driver's door to unlock the door. If more than 5 seconds elapse between button activations, the system times out and you have to start over. The driver's door will unlock on the last digit entry. Other car doors will unlock by depressing the 3-4 button within 5 seconds. The deck lid will unlatch by pressing the 5-6 button within 5 seconds after sequencing the first 5 or 6 digits. When leaving the car, you may lock it from the outside by pressing 2 buttons, 7-8 and 9-0 at the same time. You can also program a second code. Insert the original owner's code and depress the 1-2 button within 5 seconds. Then, within 5 seconds of each, press your own 5-digit personal code into the system. You can erase your personal code by simply inserting the original owner's code and then depressing the 1-2 button. The system will clear your personal code within 6 seconds. The keyless entry system includes the optional illuminated entry system, which functions when either front door handle is pulled or any button is pushed on the keyless entry system. This activates your Continental's courtesy lights. If the door is left ajar, the lights will stay on. Otherwise, they turn off about 25 seconds after they've been activated or when the ignition lock is turned to on or the accessory position.
The optional passenger power seat recliner is activated by a control on the front passenger's door panel that looks like a seat in profile. This is located next to the door handle. The control is positioned in the seat back silhouette and functions with an infinite series of settings. The arrows on the control indicate the direction of seat back movement. Simply press the desired positioning and the seat back will adjust to your requirements. There are many more notes about operating other options, along with important driving tips, alert details, light repairs, and maintenance recommendations contained in your owner's manual. You should always carry it with you in the car and be familiar with those systems on your new 1989 Lincoln Continental. Now let's cover some warranty highlights.
Under the provisions of the Ford Motor Company New Vehicle Limited Warranty, your new Lincoln Continental has an excellent protection plan. We'd like to cover the major features in the next few minutes. The basic coverage on your 1989 Continental is 12 months or 12,000 miles, whichever comes first, for all parts except tires. A 12-month warranty, regardless of mileage, has been extended to the radio, tape, CD player components, and the factory-installed heater, air conditioning, rear window defroster, heating elements in the outside rear view mirrors, and the InstaClear windshield. But that's just the basic coverage. There's more.
You also have corrosion coverage for repairs to correct perforation from corrosion of any body sheet metal. This covers your Lincoln Continental for 6 years or 100,000 miles, whichever comes first. Other corrosion due to a defect without perforation is covered for the basic 12 months or 12,000 miles. If your car becomes inoperable and must be kept out of normal use overnight by the dealer to make a warranty repair, the Ford Motor Company will pay a base rental of not more than $30 per day, excluding mileage, for a substitute vehicle up to 5 full days while the repair is being completed. So far, we're still talking about basic coverage, but there's still more.
There's major component powertrain coverage that picks up where the 12 months, 12,000 miles basic coverage leaves off. This provides additional protection until you have owned your Lincoln Continental for 6 years or 60,000 miles, whichever occurs first. There's a $100 deductible provision for each warranty repair visit unless the car or applicable component is covered under the emissions warranty. The 6-year, 60,000-mile covered components include the engine, transaxle, axle and drive, engine cooling and fuel systems, steering, front suspension system, brakes, air conditioning, electrical system, and electronic components. Of course, this doesn't include normal wear. For example, items like brake pads, wiper blades, and spark plugs. This kind of protection gives your 1989 Lincoln Continental extra value should you decide at some future date to trade. That's because the major component coverage applies to all owners with no transfer fee.
Exceptional warranty protection is provided to you with the purchase of your 1989 Lincoln Continental. Details are included in the warranty materials, including the separate tire manufacturer warranty you received when your 1989 Continental was delivered. We suggest you read them carefully and understand the extent of the extensive coverage you have received from Ford Motor Company. The Ford Extended Service Plan for your Lincoln Continental also offers valuable protection provisions. This optional service plan between you and your Lincoln Mercury dealer can reduce the $100 deductible charges for warranty repairs to covered components after the basic coverage has expired. It also provides for other services like towing and transportation assistance when applicable under the provisions of this option. With both the warranty coverage and the Ford Extended Service Plan, you can count on peace of mind and quick professional assistance when you need it. Let's discuss some of the things that come under the heading of normal service.
There are a number of suggestions contained in your owner's manual concerning servicing your Lincoln Continental. These can be invaluable in saving you time and unnecessary service costs. You should familiarize yourself with these recommendations so that you can realize the best possible performance. The fuel you use in your new Continental should be of a good grade with an octane rating no lower than 87. Lincoln Mercury recommends that you purchase fuel with a good detergent level to maintain the high performance of your sequential multi-port fuel injection system. If you are unsure of the quality of the gasoline you're purchasing, ask your service station attendant. Ford Motor Company vehicles will operate satisfactorily on alcohol gasoline blends containing no more than 10% ethanol by volume and having an octane index of 87 or higher.
You should also check your oil every 500 miles. When replacing oil, use only SAE 5W30 and meeting API standards of SF or SFCC or SFCD only. If you continually drive in hot temperatures exceeding 100 degrees Fahrenheit, you should use SAE 10W30 oils. To check your oil, pull the hood release lever on the left below the instrument panel. Outside, lift the plastic sheath release paddle at the front hood opening and lift the hood, which is counterbalanced by a gas strut. Pull out the oil dipstick and wipe with a rag or paper towel. Replace it until it is fully seated and remove it again. If the level is at or below the bottom of the cross-hatched indicator area, You should add oil as indicated through the oil filler on the top of the engine valve cover. Lincoln Mercury recommends oil changes every 7,500 miles under normal driving conditions. We suggest you see your Lincoln Mercury dealer for oil changes and periodic maintenance services. If you prefer to change your own oil, follow the procedures outlined in your owner's manual in the Servicing Your Vehicle section.
While the hood is open, you can also check the level of your windshield washer fluid located in a see-through container. The engine coolant reservoir is also a translucent container. When the system is hot, coolant expands and flows into the container. When the system cools, it draws coolant from this container. Don't remove the radiator cap. Just inspect the coolant reservoir. Coolant levels should be maintained at or higher than the full hot mark when the engine is hot. If the engine is cold, the level should be maintained at or higher than the full cold mark. When the coolant is low, add a 50-50 mixture of specified coolant and water to your cooling system reservoir. You should check the system at least once a month. Your owner's manual has the correct coolant specifications, plus suggestions on dealing with constantly low coolant problems and regular coolant maintenance intervals.
You should also check your transaxle fluid level periodically. This cannot be accomplished if the engine is cold. You should drive the car the equivalent of 15 or 20 miles before checking. With the transaxle in park and your foot on the brake, move the shift lever through each gear. Return to park. Set the emergency brake and block the wheels. The fluid must be checked with the engine idling and the car on level ground. Clean any dirt from around the dipstick cap before removing. Then remove the transaxle dipstick, wipe it clean, and replace it until it is fully seated. Pull the dipstick out and check the fluid level. The fluid level should be in the cross-checked area on the dipstick at operating temperature. Before adding fluid, check the vehicle certification label on the driver's door pillar or on the dipstick for fluid type. If indicated, add fluid through the filler tube to raise the fluid to the correct level. You should be careful not to overfill, since this will result in foaming, loss of fluid through the vent, and possible transaxle malfunction.
Your brake fluid can be checked by observing the line marked MAX on the translucent master cylinder reservoir located on the wall at the rear of the engine compartment. First, with the ignition off, pump the brake pedal until it becomes hard to depress. Turn your ignition switch on and wait for about 1 minute to make sure the fluid has stabilized. Then, with the ignition still in the on position, check the brake reservoir fluid level. This should read at the full max line. If the level is low, carefully clean the filler cap before uncapping. Then fill to the max line using only DOT grade 3, such as Ford heavy-duty brake fluid.
Power steering fluid checks are another function that must be accomplished when the engine has reached normal operating temperature. With the engine idling, turn the steering wheel several times through its full path of travel. Then turn off the engine and check the fluid level on the dipstick. The level should show in the full hot range on the dipstick. If low fluid is indicated, add only Ford Motorcraft automatic transmission and power steering fluid or other Type F power steering fluid. When returning the dipstick to the reservoir, always make sure it is seated and locked.
This completes our review of your new 1989 Continental. We feel that the quality by design and execution, along with a concern for lasting appearance, will make you proud to be a Lincoln Continental owner. As Mr. Roberts indicated earlier, Lincoln's quality commitment doesn't end when you purchase the car. It continues on with the extra care you receive every time you visit your Lincoln Mercury dealer. On behalf of the Ford Motor Company's Lincoln Mercury division and your Lincoln Mercury dealer, we thank you for taking the time to learn about your new Lincoln Continental and wish you a long and satisfying ownership. Thank you.